A home is somewhere where I feel that you have a sense of security and a sense of belonging, and that you have familiar individuals that live within that home that you're comfortable with, and that you've developed feelings and that you love and that you enjoy being around.
Home, I guess, would be a place of comfort, safety, security, being welcome.
It's a place where I don't feel judged. It's my safe haven. After the end of a challenging day, it's where I go and I'm welcome and I'm supported. We over-admitted and we over-kept people longer than they needed to be in hospital. So as part of a master programming exercise we did, we identified that we would be closing 8 of those beds. We knew that there were a large number that were what we called, they had an ALC designation, which means that they could be supported with an alternative level of care. And I believe that with the right supports in community, that these folks would thrive in a community setting.
We were approached by a few individuals from the hospital to talk about a transitional home. And so through a lot of planning and working with PEP, which is People for Equal Partnership in Mental Health, and the hospital, we developed a transitional housing project, which was quite successful. In the process of doing that, we determined that there was even a greater need for individuals who had very long stay, severe and complex medical and mental health issues that were living in the hospital that didn't necessarily need to be in the hospital, but it was the only option.
This is not just a healthcare issue. This is a social issue, and it's a community issue that needs to have a plan where everyone has a vested interest, because I felt strongly right from the get-go that we're all responsible for this because we all allowed this to happen, to have people reside in a psychiatric hospital for 25 years. It's just not acceptable.
So she was hospitalized in her early 20s, and when she was discharged to Percy on July 27th, she was in her 50s. That's all she ever knew, is the hospital setting, and they tend to become institutionalized. In the hospital, she was secluding in her bedroom. She wasn't socializing. She wouldn't want to bathe. She wouldn't want to wash her clothes. When she was discharged to our home, she was very scared.
She was so frightened that she didn't want to get out of the vehicle. Mary's staff rallied, my staff, both outreach and inpatient staff rallied to support her, but she was terrified.
We had to take several drives around with her for a 3-hour period, where, trying to engage with her, it was a very sad experience.
And you can imagine, she'd been in hospital for literally decades, and we were trying to support her to move back to community. Eventually she did get out of the van. That night, one of Mary's staff sat in a chair beside her bed all night.
And just told her that I was there for her and that it was okay for her to trust me. So it took a bit of time, and every time I'd go to leave, she'd ask for that security because she was terrified.
This individual, it was a very short period of time, even I was surprised, within approximately 2 weeks, was just blossoming. She was helping with meal prep, setting the table, she was engaging with her housemates.
She's cooking pizzas every second Friday. She's actually going to the med room and asking politely for her medication. She's socializing, she's pleasant, she's developing feelings of belonging somewhere. The people that live here is like a family.
Yeah, family, yeah.
And the staff, and you know everybody. Do you trust people in here?
No, they're not them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here to help you. I think it speaks volumes because in hospital she was there for 30 plus years and has never developed those specific personal skills. So it says something to be able to move out in the community.
The hospital didn't need to be a housing provider. We had a number of wonderful housing providers already in the community. I did reach out to Nipissing Housing, and that's how this wonderful partnership was created.
So from there, this program was developed, and we worked tirelessly. And I mean, staff up at the hospital, our staff here, PEP, managers, board, people jumped in and really planned for the successful transition. And I bet you we did at least a year of planning before we were able to get our first person in the home.
The foundation of this model is really strongly based on peer support and allowing the individual to be who they are that day. If they're cranky, so what, Let's try to meet that need today. And maybe tomorrow's going to be a totally different day. And so it's just to be very flexible and very responsive to their needs so that these people can reach the level of independence that they deserve.
A transition process is any process where a client is going from home to hospital, hospital to home. In some situations, if home is a group home, it's a process where they're maybe meeting a new group of people. So they're coming from a place like the hospital and transitioning to a new home. They might be meeting a new group of people. So we had one individual who actually is from Sault Ste. Marie, and we had attempted a couple housing transitions. One back to her own community, then to another community. And these broke down. She was not successful and ended up back in hospital. And then we started to look at Percy Place.
Landis was in hospital for quite an extended period of time. All of us worked together. Of course, we have the psychiatrist who met with Landis weekly to speak about what it was that Landis wanted to talk about. We have an occupational therapist and a recreational therapist who's focused a lot on things to fill Landis's time. So enjoyable activities and getting her back involved in the community, things like that. We had a vocational role who got Landis involved in a work placement. And so all of us worked together collaboratively to get Landis back into the community.
For the first time in years, like 15 years, I felt confident and not so suicidal, which I struggled with. Tried to kill myself when I was 7, so it's been a long battle. Dr. Johnson helped me get through a lot of stuff, that baggage that I was carrying for years, and I was able to release it.
So we had the skills in place when it came to emotional regulation and coping mechanisms. She also worked together with the art therapist. So she was leaving here with tools that she would be able to use and do things differently from a way that she had done in the past where things hadn't worked out for the best for her. So now she had the tools to be able to use so that she could keep working towards achieving her goals ongoing. A lot of times, a lot of the work is done when an individual is motivated to leave and wants to leave. She was introduced to the staff at Percy Street and became familiar with them and went to see the apartment where she would be living. And it was her decision to move there. Her family was involved as well. So she has some family members that are a big part of her life and that mean a lot to her. So they were also involved in that transitioning period.
I came here and it was beautiful and well taken care of, unlike what I saw. If I would have lived on my own, I would probably would have ended up dead in 6 months or something. So I needed that extra support because I can still fall and get deep in gloom, and if I'm really stressed, I can still go back to suicide. So here I'm able to tell them when I get like that. So they talk me down and help me deal with what I'm dealing with.
And it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to not want to, socialize for a period of time, as long as it comes to an end. It's okay to be angry, So those are all things that we all experience, and we have to make sure that everybody knows it's okay to experience those things, and it's okay to show emotion, and it's okay to show certain behaviors and things like that, because that's what being a human being is all about.
It was probably a worry that I would isolate in here because I have my own apartment, but that's not the fact. I do go down and just to be around people because it keeps me in a better space to socialize. It just has a really positive atmosphere everywhere, and we support each other. You know, I found a really close friend here.
A lot of times people leave a more structured environment or institutionalized environment, and then their true selves start to come out, and that's a good thing. You know, people start to become who they are.
Before I was just afraid, but I'm not afraid anymore.
We have a unique partnership with a local physician who I have access just even through texting. I'm able to, like this morning I said, okay, the following clients, A, B, and C have these issues. Can you stop by today? And he's coming at lunch. So, I mean, it's pretty quick turnaround to get care.
Because I have my own private practice and I work at the mental health clinic, the home with this group of patients, it'd be nice to say that they have issues from 8 to 4, but that's not the case. So they get a hold of me through email, they get a hold of me through text. We talk on the phone if need be. I'll go over there. We may have to have patients come here if they need something that I can't do there. I'm only a text away. Even when I'm out of town, they can still get a hold of me. We still address the issues that need to be addressed.
He looked to me like the classic person with a brain injury. And so I started to work with him both in hospital and in my Homes for Special Care program. And we got him assessed. And sure enough, his primary diagnosis was a brain injury. You know, he's quite happy if you have a consistent response to him. So when he asks a question, he's not trying to be difficult. He doesn't actually know what the answer is.
There was no acquired brain injury housing, so we were trying to fit him, a square peg in a round hole type thing. So it didn't work before. My background is mental health, not acquired brain injury, which although sometimes they present similarly, they are two different worlds. So I've definitely grown and learned a lot from John.
Never had in the hospital was crafted on wieners.
That's what you used to have at the hospital?
Steak or pork chops.
Oh, here,
We never had it up there, Shelby.
So the food's better down here, you'd say, eh? Yeah. And how do you feel about moving?
Good.
You'll have to push this one for me. Push it and let it go. There you go.
He gets care from the personal support staff right from the get-go. They help him out of bed in the morning and get him, help him get him dressed and make sure he's doing well. I know we monitor blood pressure every morning and that all his vitals are checked daily. He's a big music guy. He loves his rock and roll. Depending on the day, John can shift, especially his moods. He seems to either be the most pleasant person to the most unpleasant, and I've grown to enjoy both sides of John.
So can't buy another coffee, does it? When's it in now?
Till Thursday, sir.
Thursday, that's 2 days.
I know, you got...
What's going on? I only got one today. I got two. I'm supposed to get two at the house today, Spady.
We had an outing to the doctors. It didn't go the way he wanted. And by the time I got home, he threw all of his bank cards and bus passes at me and told me a few choice words. And I actually came back to the office and started writing an incident report on it. I was so angry just at how he presented towards me. But that was a huge turning point for me at the different type of clientele that I'm working with and the appreciation for the brain injury.
And would you like to
Just
go?
a sociable man now.
Yeah, you like to be social, eh?
He's usually seen in his wheelchair rolling up and down the halls at Percy and chatting with whoever he can
Throw it, sir.
see. So
You just throw it out, Kathy. Yeah, thank you.
He loves going to the mall and to Walmart. That's his favorite place to go. Electronics is his thing, or watches. He would like to either purchase new like MP3 players or a new watch, or return and exchange a lot of goods as well. So we put some structure around that. With the right structure and boundaries and settings, I mean, he's done really well.
Takes a lot to scare this old boy.
There were certainly hiccups along the way. So when you work with a number of different partners, there's a lot of moving pieces.
In the hospital, I'm not assessing someone at the kitchen table or talking to them as they walk down the hall. There's a couple patients that don't want to have anything to do with me / the doctor. So if I could literally catch them walking down the hall and I say, hi, and how are you today? That might be all I get to see how they're making out with their lung disease or whatever that I was worried about with the pneumonia, for example. So that's a little different. We don't have all the equipment. So I'm relying on a lot of clinical skills, not only myself, but the staff, and relying on what they see day in, day out.
The key was that we all believed in each other and in each other's abilities, and in each other's, we had that trust and that faith that every person was going to do their part to make this a reality. And I think that's what really the success of the program was, is believing that the LHIN would do their part, believing the hospital would do their part, and each member of the staff would do their part. And everyone absolutely did.
When a person's been in the hospital, they tend to have challenges and obstacles put in their way, and seeing how an individual can come from the hospital and be virtually told that, through the years that they could never get out, and to finally be able to take that step and thrive, it's just been incredible. And they don't have to be huge gains, they could be just small gains, from getting up in the morning, getting out and going out and doing things without having to be shadowed by a hospital staff.
I've been here, I think, since I was 17. I came in here.
With this particular individual, Kathy, she had also tried a number of different housing situations in community that broke down. Also tried to live independently at one point. She was our first successful graduate at the original Percy Place, which was a transition program. Came in and ended up moving into her own apartment, and because she stopped taking her medications, ended up getting quite ill and returning to hospital.
They guess your illness, they guess it. She said she didn't say she was bipolar. She said, I think she's bipolar. So they gave me Epival. And of course, when I was on Epival, I went crazy. I went completely crazy. I had no dignity, I had no, I didn't care about myself. It was horrible. Finally, I hope this is the end of the whole hospital forever. I really do. I'd rather die outside than die in here. I could go on and on and on and on to tell you the things what my life is about, the ups, the downs, and stuff like that. But I'm really anxious to get out of here. It's been too long.
Kathy is a young 60-year-old, 60-plus-year-old. She's someone who sees herself as really being like 30. She acts really as a young soul. So long-term care was just not an option. And, we often talked about that, about housing, and she really wanted, something that was independent, and that had broken down so many times. We were really looking at long-term care as being the only other option. So when Percy Place started to look at a complex care home model, this became an alternative for her, something that would allow her the best of both worlds, getting the more complex care that she needed, but living more independently. So she could go out, come and go as she needed to, have other peers that she could interact with, but still kind of get the support she needed around taking her meds and staying well. So they've hired some nurses at the home now, and PSWs, personal support workers. So there's a kind of a different mixture of staff now. So it's got a lot more support.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's permanent now. It's not transitional.
Yeah, I realize that if I want to stay there till I die, I can.
One way to look at it.
This is me when I'm on pills.
Oh, that's awesome. Does the rain not make it, or is it waterproof? What are you looking forward to most in community when you move to Percy Place?
Seeing everybody again. Seeing my friends, seeing everybody.
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
She's really proud of some of the things that she's done over the last couple of years, including being a peer teacher art class at PEP. So she was teaching, I think, once or twice a month, and individuals would come and take classes with her.
I think I've done about 800, 900 paintings in my life, maybe more, 1,000.
When I come to visit Kathy, almost immediately she'll want to show me her latest artwork. It's the first thing that she wants to point out. And it's great to have, a point of context where we can sit and have a dialogue. And it's not about her illness. It's not about that she's, taking or not taking her medication. It's about her passion around artwork and being an artist. She likes to talk about, what the artwork, that particular piece is about, why she did it, what she was feeling. And she's very articulate in when you're talking to her in that context.
They asked me for peer-to-peer support to do a picture of the ups and downs, and I've got a perfect picture of a road going like this with the trees beside, and I thought that would be awesome if I could paint that.
This is something that's not about hospital or having a mental illness. This is something that is passion. It's something that she sees as being her thing. And it's an opportunity for her to be able to do that in this home.
People seem to like me a lot. There must be something God gave me that is a true feeling, but I get along with anybody, no matter who it is. And I find that the love is always there. If you give the love comes back, and I find that if you can grab onto that, and keep it, you'll always be friends, always.
These individuals are not wanting to go back to their institutional home.
They don't have to be in hospital. They can live independently with some supports.
It's not necessarily the four walls. I don't think the four walls matter so much as what you have in the four walls.
This is their last kick at the can. We need to develop this home so that they can experience that. They can experience what it is to be living independently.
It has become a home, with people living together, getting along together.
And anytime you walk in somewhere and people are happy to see you, especially after you've gone through some pretty difficult things for them, some really tough things for them, you've done okay.
So I knew we'd be successful. I just didn't know how successful.
Home is a sense of belonging, and where you know that you can go and be safe and be who you truly are, and you have people that you can count on.
It was just absolutely remarkable.